Well, welcome to a new Harry's Farm video. And since the last video, I am pleased to report we have a pile of wheat in the shed. We cracked on after that, the next day after the last video I did, and we had a couple of days on it. And yeah, we finished off at the other farm. So around here, I think it was about 48 acres. I think it's 160, 170 tons in here. So 3.2, 3.3 tons to the acre, which is good. And even better, if I use this is a moisture meter, 14.8% moisture. And so that's below the 15% threshold. So I won't actually have to dry it. There is a little patches of about 15.5, 15.8 around it, but that's what these pedal stores are here for, because we'll actually put fans on top of those. And before this gets moved out, I'll have lorries in September time. It will just be equalised and the fans will just draft some air through it. But yeah, it all looks pretty good really. This is, I say, it's Dawson wheat we grew this year. This is just a pure feed wheat. It's not a pretty wheat, there's some smaller grains in there, but it feels as though it has some weight. I'll get it all tested, but just looking at it, when I was on the combine, it was even and everything you want. It stood as well as it could, I think, with this weather that we've had. And although it's sort of thinnish ground around here, I'm pleasantly surprised at how much it yielded on those particular fields. But they were my best fields. They were the first wheat. So we'll see what happens from then on. It was a bit hairy because we're doing it at night and we actually have to move up there, the combine across the road. You have to take the header off to move it across because the gateways are too narrow. If I owned it, I'd probably open it up so we dash across, but we can't. But that was all going on. So it was very good to get the combine back home. Although when you're moving it on the road, we moved it the following day, Saturday. It's a big thing to move, and it just fits down the lanes around here. So it's always a big relief when you actually get it back home. So let's go down, have a look at the combine to see where we're heading with the combine next. Well, this is where we parked the combine up on Saturday. There's the wheat, and that's what we had hoped to do, go straight in there. It was a sunny day, and we thought, oh, here we go, we'll just catch before the rain arrived. And within half an hour of getting back, it had started to rain. So, yeah, we haven't done anything since Friday. So today, what day is it today? Tuesday. We're going to be going tomorrow. I've just tested the wheat, and it's at 16.5%, and it's 5:15. We're not going to be going tonight as far as I'm concerned. I want it well below 15%. The forecast is good. And the crazy thing is we've only got about 100 acres to cut. So with this thing, a couple of days and we'll be done. But so all we do now is just go through it and maintenance and that sort of thing. Thought I'd just show you something that I've learnt, something really critical on a combine. Especially in these sort of conditions, is dust. Controlling the dust and getting rid of the dust. And always chaff just builds up. We're chopping all the straw this year because we're not baling anything, we're incorporating it. And that just creates no end of this, which is highly flammable. And okay, it's not it's not like last year when it was so hot. But we do try and blow all this off. We use a leaf blower, petrol engine leaf blower generally, but when we're parked out like this is just a tip for anyone out there. If your tractor comes with an air brake connector and therefore has an air pump, it's incredibly powerful. I'm very surprised how powerful they are, and it's revolutionised if you get one of these, a 20-metre sort of airline extension. They're about, well, £40 or something, but it means you can then take the airline any place you want. I have one. Here it is. That's what I have. And then I go all round the engine and I can do the radiators and intercoolers. I'm going to do that in a moment when I've finished doing this video. But my goodness, it works. And it doesn't, that extension doesn't seem to stop the pressure on the air hose. It still seems to be pretty high pressure, even though it's quite a long lead. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing tonight, greasing up, that sort of thing. The big maintenance, I suppose, this year was actually on this carrier, this Väderstad carrier cultivator, and we've replaced, doesn't look it at the moment, but we've replaced a whole load of rings on there. We've gone through, some of the bearings have been replaced. I'm not exactly sure which one. and you'll see the state of it in here, because I've been using this, because this is what we go straight in after combining. We go in with this machine to get everything chitted, but I will go and show you that in the field over there. Okay, well, in this field was meant to be oilseed rape last year, and this is the field that we had completely wiped out crop. Never, it grew and then just disappeared. Could be cabbage stem flea beetle, could have been anything. And I came in here with that carrier cultivator because you can see I've just got some greenery appearing, thistles, and I just wanted to disc it off before they start seeding. Don't want these to seed, incorporate them. I'm not going to spray it off. There's no point doing that. I could do it with a cultivator, I thought. And I put it in here and this is as far as I got. Oh, just as a reminder, I mean, it's August, but this is a heavy clay with clay content. You can see that just like plasticine just seals together. And as soon as I put the cultivator in here, I just didn't realize how wet it was on the top surface, and it was going to clog up that cultivator. All the rings get bunged up and it just comes this solid lump of mud. So I quickly abandoned the idea here, and it was just a reminder that how variable soil type is, because I moved to a field probably 500-600 meters from here, and that field went to treat. We're going to have a look at that in a moment. But that is how variable soil type is. And quite often, the clever old boys who sort of enclosed these fields and made fields where fields are, those fields were done on soil type. So perhaps this field, called Big Picket, is the heavy clay field, so they enclosed it, and my top folly, which is the other field, is this lighter land, so that became a field as well. They certainly weren't silly boys back then. They knew the ground incredibly well, and that's generally why fields of sort of the shape they are quite often is down to the soil type. Now, something that does like all this wetness is the bird cover, which has gone nuts. I'll show you a closer look at that. Right, here's a wild bird cover. And as you can see, it's loving this wetness around the place. So this is the mustard, which is now flowering. You can just see the pods starting to set on here, because it's obviously a relative to the oilseed rape we grow. This is radish here, the white flower as well. I'm trying to think, there was some, the ones I'm slightly concerned about is the sunflowers. Yeah, whether they're going to get big enough. There's a sunflower, it's quite a small one. I mean, they're not tall, giant sunflowers. There's a slightly bigger one there. All they have to do is produce the flower, the seed head, and then mature, because they're dwarf. And as long as they get that before we go into the winter, they'll be fine. Maize, again, is a bit backward, but it's just because we just didn't have that rain in June. But it's full of butterflies. It's going to be full of seeds. So it's the one good news of the wet July is everybody's sort of bird cover mixes, which are going to be, you know, for the winter, have gone nuts. So yeah, wild birds are going to have a very good time this winter. There's no food shortages for them. Now, there's been more activity next door. We're now in Front Park, and this is permanent grass, and this has been down for haymaking this year, and it's under a stewardship agreement again, and we have to do it after the 15th of July. And normally you're desperate to get in the field on the 15th of July, because that's around when you want to be making hay. July is the month for making hay. And the last few years it's been felt a bit late, but you're straight on it then. And today is the 15th of August, so we're 4 weeks late. But they came in last night and mowed this off yesterday evening, and then have been in what's termed turning it this morning. And it has the possibility to be a very good hay crop, because if you look here, this is, you know, a bit we can't get because of the trees, but there's been this secondary growth. All this rain has meant there's a lot of extra growth. There's a lot of clover in this field as well. And this has bulked out, so that this has got more yield than we normally get off this field. And you can see how green it is. Normally it's burnt off by the sun. Not this year. It's all about bulk. The downside is it will take more drying out. You just need more sunshine to sort of dry it. If you make hay too quick, it'll all heat up in the bale and it all goes wrong, and the cows won't eat it, and it's just no good. So you've really got to dry it out. So that's the gamble. We need, I would say, well, they'd like a week, but they're probably, after 3 days, they'll be looking at this thinking, oh, should we be baling it? But they'll come in a few times to dry it out. The turning, as it's termed, is to just to fluff it up and to get that bit. I can still feel that feels damp because that's underneath. So if you turn it regularly, that damp patch will come up to the top and it will gradually dry out. And then you put it into rows, and then you come in with your baler. But at the moment, they'll be turning it. But as I say, it's looking good. It's one of the positives, again, of 2023, the wetness. There's been loads of grass this year, so forage should be good, but you just need these 3-4 days minimum dry weather to actually make it. And since the 15th of July, we just haven't had it until this week. Now, I've mentioned that I've been cultivating top folly, and I just want to go and show you there and then just go through some of the other things we're going to be doing this year. Right, this is top folly here where I was this morning, and one of the other things we're going to do on the stewardship, we're actually going to beef this up. You know, we lost some trees along here, gales last year, so this will be planted out next year. We'll reinstate this sort of hedge along here. But this is top folly here, where I was out cultivating this morning after realising that the other field was way too heavy. A completely different soil type in here. You can see this, how it doesn't, it's a crumb structure. You think how it was all plasticine at the other field, this field, like that. Completely different structure, and yet we're only 500 metres apart or something like that. And again, it was the first time I've used it this year, but my tractor, and all modern tractors really, have the satellite on receiver on top of the cab, and you drive this, you put in the field you're in, and you set A and B, and you drive in a straight line, and then the tractor takes over, and I will never get bored of it. I find it amazing what modern tractors are like to drive, and it is incredibly satisfying to see this dead straight line when you're cultivating, and you just turn around, it picks the next line it wants to go down, you go down that, and then you infill, and you just don't waste any diesel. You're absolutely cultivating to the centimetre, the width of your implement, and it's impossibly satisfying. The only bit you have to do is the turn at the end of the field and then set the depth of the cultivator. I could set that up all automatic as well, but you know, come on, it's not that hard. So I've got a very base unit, but the technology on today's tractors is remarkable. And today's combines, I'd love to get a demo of one of the modern combines here, because driver was telling me the other day, on the latest ones, they have a camera that looks at the feed the combine's bringing into the belly of the combine, and that camera then sets the sieves, the wind, etc., from what it's seeing and what the sample looks like at the other end. And it says, oh, I need a bit more wind, or knock the sieves down, or slow the rotor down. The combine does it all purely real time, from the camera staring at what's coming into the combine and what's going out the combine. It can adjust all the sieves. All the driver has to do, again, is turn around either end. It does the speed, it follows the track of where the crop is. They are astonishing modern agricultural equipment. And the other thing I know from in here was how much diesel I've used doing this. I was working at 65-70% engine power, and doing around 6 hectares an hour, and consuming around 18 litres of fuel an hour. So that's 3 litres of fuel per hectare for this cultivation. And we do this to get anything to chit. I've sort of done 2 jobs. The oilseed rape volunteers, I've knocked a few of those out, but really what I'm after is the grass weeds that are dormant in the soil. I want them to germinate, and this will not be touched until we come in to drill in October, and we'll take it out with glyphosate just before drilling. So, and that machine is about 5 litres a hectare. So 8 litres a hectare to now establish a crop. The combine is the greediest machine of all. I think that's probably about 25 litres a hectare, so dramatically more. But the weirdness in this world of, you know, how we're going, this is minimal cultivations, and it's reducing the carbon footprint of all farms because we're using much less diesel now per hectare than we used to in the old days. Bizarrely, the organic boys are sort of locked into using the plough because that's how they can control weeds. If they're not using herbicides, the plough is very good, it buries the weeds, but it's very heavy on diesel. So an organic farm will have a much higher diesel bill than a modern conventional farm. And if you go zero till, tiny amount of diesel used to establish your crops. So in pure diesel terms, the modern, ultra wide kit is using way less diesel per hectare to grow a crop than the organic boys are, which is topsy-turvy probably from what you thought, but that's how it works. Anyway, so what I do now is, tomorrow is a great day for combine. We've got a couple of days of combining, and then, yeah, it'll all look like this. We'll be turning the fields back to this. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, well, keep watching, keep driving. More videos coming along very soon.